Hello everyone and welcome back to Used Game Shopping, the series on True Gaming United where I shop for used games. My apologies for the fact that my arm is in a sling and the likely very awkward camera angles coming up. I got mowed down, or as the Brits would say, absolutely mullered by a Toyota the other day. But hey, I still made it to the UK. And hey, as we're back here in jolly old England, that means it's time to once again go to my favorite game store on the planet. It's... Now, an important thing for me to keep in mind when shopping for 360 games over here is that they had to be compatible with my US Xbox, so I had to find a list and see which ones were. Sadly, the notoriously terrible 2008 Beijing Olympics Games video game was not compatible, so I had to put that back, even though it was just £1. Something that is compatible, though, is Your Shape Fitness Evolved 2012. Now, as you notice here, I accidentally picked up the normal one, which I already owned, so I'm going to have to go back into the shop today and exchange it for the 2012 version, which shouldn't be a problem. We've got a 2-day return policy. But for 50 pence, that'll be a fun one to play. Also, while they did have a couple Call of Juarez games, the only ones they had were Bound in Blood and The Gunslinger, both of which I already owned digitally, so I didn't pick them up. One title I did grab, though, was the only Call of Duty game from the Xbox 360 era onwards that I don't already own. It's Call of Duty 2 for just £6. Up next is a cult classic that, while I've talked about it quite a bit on this channel, I don't actually own, at least not until now. For £10, it's Driver San Francisco. Yes, it's compatible with a US Xbox 360, and look at the prices for this game in America. This is an absolute steal here. Oh, and I hope you're a fan of very beautiful women fighting each other, because I also picked up a copy of Dead or Alive 4. And while I forgot to film it, largely because I had to get it from behind the counter, I also picked up the Xbox One copy of Call of Duty Ghosts. I do own the 360 version already, but this version has 60 FPS enhancements on Series X, and just plays a lot cleaner. Overall, some absolutely wonderful games here for a real steal of a price. And most importantly of all, one of my sisters was kind enough to get these for me as a gift. Thanks, Mel. Hello everyone and welcome back to Used Game Shopping, the series on True Gaming United where I shop for used games, and this might possibly be our last episode here in England during this trip, since I'm in England for about 2.5 weeks, but only in Guildford for a couple of days. That being said, while I'm still here in Guildford, let's go back to one of my favorite game shops on the planet. That's right, it's the Guildford branch of Six. Now, one of the reasons I'm in here today is because when I was here a couple days ago, I accidentally picked up Your Shape Fitness Evolved instead of the 2012 version, so I'm here to buy the correct one today. However, before I went over to do that, I took a look at what I'm going to call the stacks, these big piles of games and DVDs that have yet to be sorted. And from the stacks, I rescued a copy of Tomb Raider Legend for just £2. This is a pretty good deal in my opinion. And then I did go over to the 360 wall and pick up the correct Your Shape game. Nice. However, that wasn't the only Kinect title I picked up today, as I also found this copy of Fable: The Journey for pretty cheap. I didn't even know there was a Kinect tie-in to the Fable series, but it's US region compatible, so why not for that price? And on top of that, I also found this copy of Grid. My only exposure to the series so far was Grid Legends, but I really did like it, and I wanted to go back and play some of the older games, so I picked this up. And the guy behind the counter was nice enough to give me a brand new Xbox 360 case for it, since the one it already had was pretty beat up. All in all, today I picked up some really cool games for a pretty great price. And now my collection of awesome games I've picked up on this trip alone has significantly grown. Hello everyone and welcome back to Used Game Shopping, the series on True Gaming United where I shop for used games. And this will probably be our last episode for the 2025 UK special series as I leave England in a few days. But today I had basically nothing else to do, so I took a lovely walk to downtown Guildford and of course went to Six. Just like last time, the first thing I did this time around was take a look at the stacks, which were quite a bit more organized today than they were on my previous visit, and they didn't really have anything that I thought was interesting, or at least for systems I had. However, I did think I saw a Need for Speed game at the bottom of one of the stacks, but upon closer inspection, it was actually just a DVD copy of the awful 2014 Need for Speed movie, the one that Aaron Paul was in. Yeah, obviously I didn't pick that up.
So I made my way over to the Xbox 360 wall. Now, just a reminder, the Xbox 360 was annoyingly part of that era when region locking was still a thing, so I had to make sure these PAL titles would play on my North American Xbox, and if you're on YouTube, I'll actually link the lists I used for that down below. Sadly, the official B-movie tie-in game wasn't. What an absolute tragedy that is. But you know what is region compatible with North America? Both Dirt 2 and 3. I'm a big racing game fanatic, so you know I had to score those for £4 each. And longtime running fans of this series will know just how much I love my stupid funny Kinect games. So I also picked up a copy of Game Party in Motion. I didn't even know they made a Game Party game for Kinect, but apparently they did, and now I own it. Well, I didn't end up getting it. There was also this copy of National Geographic for the Xbox 360. I own this digitally, and I wouldn't really call it a game. It's kind of an experience, just a weird time capsule of the early 2010s. Then, right at the end of the shelf, I saw something that I thought would be really freaking awesome. Skate 2. It's the only one in the series that I haven't really played and I don't own. I went to go look at the price, and oh my lord, no. No thank you. I know it's kind of a rare pickup, but not for that price, I'm sorry. One game that absolutely is worth the price, though, is Homefront for just £1. If I remember correctly, I actually saw Rooster Teeth play this back in the day at one point, and I have played Homefront The Revolution for Xbox One, so I'm interested to see what the previous installment was like. And right as I was about to go check out, I saw this, a copy of Shaun White Snowboarding. This is kind of a nostalgic title for I think a lot of people in the Xbox 360 community, but especially for me, as along with Nitro Bike, this was the first home console game I ever played as a kid when I was visiting a friend's house. For £1, why not? In the end, I ended up getting some awesome games for a great price, which I cannot wait to play when I get home to the US. And just as a reminder, even though I've added this new price and value counter thing, I am in no way someone who is a reseller or scalper. Those kind of people absolutely disgust me. I just like seeing how good of deals I got. Admittedly, I did not stop to think if I could actually fit all these in my suitcase. Oops.